Hello, my name is Chris Morrissey, and this is an informative speech on Mr. Fred Rogers. Now, many people recognize this song as the theme song for Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which aired on PBS for 33 years. It's the second longest running children's program, and it spread a message of love, compassion, kindness, and hope to children everywhere, as well as adults. Fred McFreely Rogers was born in Latote, Pennsylvania on March 20th, 1928. Growing up, he was shy and lonely and bullied for being overweight, with many of his classmates calling him Fat Fred. This led to him to form his own world of make-believe and made him play by himself, incorporating stuffed animals, puppets, and ventriloquist dummies, and helping him make his own friends. In high school, he finally came out of his shell and was the student council president, as well as a member of the National Honor Society, and was the yearbook editor-in-chief. In 1951, he earned his bachelor's degree in music composition, and immediately afterwards moved to New York to be part of the Voice of Firestone on NBD, where he was an associate producer, or assistant producer. In 1953, him and his wife moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to be a part of the Children's Corner, the first scheduled program for WQED, Pittsburgh. On it, he was the composer, the organist, as well as a puppeteer and an assistant producer. In 1963, Mr. Rogers made his on-air debut for his own titled show, Mr. Rogers, for CBC Canada. In 1968, he returned back to Pittsburgh to star in Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, which aired from 1968 to 2001. Also in 1968, he added Officer Clemens to his neighborhood, who became the first African American to star in to have a recurring role in a children's program. In 1969, Mr. Rogers and Officer Clemens soaked their feet together in a tub, subtly challenging pool segregation and racism. Mr. Rogers tackled many difficult topics such as divorce, war, and the assassination of Robert F. Kennedy. In one episode, he invited a 10-year-old quadriplegic boy where they discussed his wheelchair, his parents, doctors, what you do when you're sad, and they sang a song together. In 1969, Fred Rogers spoke before the United States Senate Commerce Committee and its chairman, John Pasteur, regarding funding for public education television. In a 6-minute speech, Mr. Rogers explained and expressed the importance of mental health amongst children and how it is very important for children to learn how to properly and constructively express their emotions. The $22 million was granted to him. He was also an ordained Presbyterian minister and a vegetarian, where he quoted that he could never eat an animal, he could never eat something that came from a mother. He also wrote numerous children's books, 36 books on parenting, and every song that was on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, all 289. In 1999, he was inducted into the Television Hall of Fame, and in 2002, President George Bush awarded Mr. Rogers the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest honor that any American civilian can achieve. And this was because of his lifelong commitment to children and public broadcast and education. His last public appearance was the Grand Marshal at the Tournament of Roses Parade in January 1st, 2003, where he flipped the coin for the Rose Bowl. He passed away on February 27th, 2003, leaving behind a wife, 2 sons, and 3 grandsons, but his legacy will continue to live on. Fred Rogers Productions put out Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood in 2012, and since its premiere, it has won the Parents' Choice Award every year. The Fred Rogers Center also preserves and builds upon Mr. Rogers' legacy as a trusted voice for children. He's been featured for many books, newspaper and magazine articles, as well as a mug, which features his inspirational quotes and changes color when you put a hot beverage in. And he was also on a stamp in 2018 to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Also in 2018, a documentary came out about the life and legacy called Won't You Be My Neighbor? And in November of this year, a movie about the day that Mr. Rogers spent with a newspaper reporter that changed the newspaper reporter's perspective on life will be released as well. Mr. Rogers transformed children's television, and his legend goes beyond books, movies, mugs, and stamps. His message of love and kindness will forever resonate with children and adults everywhere. And in quoting Mr. Rogers, I would like to tell you what I often told you when you were much younger. I like you just the way you are.